So let's start with a brief history on the origin of basketball. Basketball was invented in the December of 1891 by Dr. James Naismith. And when the sport first started out, they didn't have the basketball we all know and love today. They originally had soccer balls. Now, soccer balls are leathery, smooth, and they're not designed to bounce. As they were playing and developing the game, they had to come up with ways to transition from this to this. These players each became engineers in trying to figure out how do they take a slippery, smooth surface that doesn't bounce and turning it into something that had roughness for grip and could bounce a lot. As they came together and they planned, and over generations and generations came with the basketball that we know and love today. Some of the first changes they made to the basketball was making it a rough leather surface and making it bigger, so it's easier to grip and pass. The size and the new leather added bounce and friction as a new factor to the game. As you know, basketballs are hollow inside with a rubber bladder to hold air, so that way it bounces easier.
Most people can't describe it, but it's the microfiber cover that provides that great grip and that soft feel that everybody refers to. The channels share a similar texture and material as the rest of the ball, which adds to the control and that feel that everyone's talking about. The cushion core offers a softer touch around the rim. What that means is that the ball will stay on the rim a little bit longer, allowing you the opportunity to make more shots.
And they even made the ball orange so it's easier for players to see. So this is where we're going to stop, and we are going to go over Newton's laws of motion and how it applies to the game of basketball. Newton's first law states that an object in motion will stay in motion and an object at rest will stay at rest unless acted upon by another force. So an object in motion will continue to move in a straight line if it's moving until it's acted upon by another force. And an object at rest will stay in that one spot until it is acted upon by another force. Newton's second law states that the more mass an object has, the more force is needed to move it. Newton's third law states that for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. It's like if you tried jumping on a diving board. If you're jumping on the board and the board is bending down, the board's also bending back up against you, propelling you up. If you have a balloon, for example, you can inflate the balloon and let it go. The balloon itself is moving forward because the air inside is moving backwards. There's two forces going on here, equal and opposite reactions. And again, that's all in a straight line. So for example, when you're dribbling a basketball, you are exerting a force, pushing the basketball down and pushing it. As you're pushing it, gravity is also pulling the basketball down. So it's getting the added force of gravity pulling it down as much as it weighs, and you adding force to it. So you're adding energy. So if I get the ball, and I start dribbling it and start bouncing it, it's going to come back, the ball's going to come back up to my hand every time. But if I bounce it and let it bounce. Now, each of you has a basketball that we've pumped up here at the club, and they've all been pumped to a preset pressure. If you add more air, it's going to make the ball harder to push in on, so when it hits the ground, it's going to bounce back up faster and harder than before. So it'll bounce higher. But if it's losing air over time, then it will bounce lower. So let's ask a question. Why do basketballs have bumps on them? Now, it's called pebbling. And the pebbling here is not only for the players to get better grip when they're passing the ball and shooting for the hoop, it also adds more surface area to the ball, making it bigger. So when you run your hand across it, you can feel those divots, kind of like when you put your fingers together, you can actually feel your fingerprints. Your hands are very sensitive. Basketball is over 100 years old and is one of the oldest sports in America. Now, when a basketball player goes to shoot a hoop, when they're putting that backspin on it, what they're doing is they're adding enough force to make sure the ball goes in a straight line. It's following Newton's first law of staying in motion, but it's losing energy due to gravity pulling it down and friction with the ball coming in contact with the air. If a player can overcome those and use those to their advantage, they can shoot the ball like Steph Curry in a three-pointer almost every single time. Hey guys, so it occurred to me that with the basketballs you have at home, you can practice these kinds of shots too. So try to master the curve, the backspin, try to master the arc, do everything you can to break it down and take notes to make your shot as best you can. Alright, back to the video. Alright guys, I've been James Boyce, your STEM choice for the day, and I will see you next time.